think you can do anything, but you can't. You tell me about your love, it's a bad trend. You try to kiss me, I was against. I don't like when you hold me by the waist. You can try me.
Last time out at Kokomo, the championship order was disrupted as a late race incident found points leader and reigning champion Brandon Proudfoot set to the back of the field. But thanks to Proudfoot's early victories, he still holds a lead in the championship, albeit narrowly over rivals Northcutt and Radley. But tonight, that battle for the championship continues as we head not to Aruba, Jamaica, Bermuda, or Bahama, but Kokomo. Welcome everyone to this, round 4 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. My name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of the Virtual Grip Network, my partner here in the booth, Austin Belkey, and the rest of us behind the scenes, we'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Kokomo is a famous track in dirt circles, but it holds a special place in my heart as it is my home dirt track. And while you and I may be pretty familiar with it, Austin, what can you tell our audience about this historic facility?
Hey DJ, happy to be here. First off, this track was opened in 1947 in Kokomo, Indiana. That's probably where the name comes from, not quite the Beach Boys song. It was made specifically for midget car racing, but we're just going to go ahead and throw 18 of these big, heavy dirt street stock cars on here tonight. Track's a quarter-mile long. That's 0.4 kilometers if you use metric units. It's a very wide track, going to be a lot of sliders possible. It's definitely going to be a fun race.
Well, I know I am certainly looking forward to it, but before we get to the action out on track, we want to tell you about tonight's sponsor, and that is Gargamel's Kitchen. Gargamel's Kitchen is a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, and a proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. go ahead and visit their office at 2045 South Valencia Street or give them a call at 720-707-6178. Well, you heard me mention it before. The championship is a little bit tighter here as we go into the final stages of this race here. Brandon Proudfoot continues to hold a lead, although it is very, very narrow, only a couple of points separating him and Billy Northcutt. There you can see only 6 points, and only 8 points back is Johnny Ratley. From there back, it's about 20 points back to Chris Davis and Steven Spees rounding out your top 10. A very close battle, though, really all the way down to 10th place. And in just about any of those top 6 can win a race here and really disrupt things. But before we find out how they get disrupted, Austin, why don't you walk us through what today's race details are going to be for this trip around Kokomo?
Well, like classic dirt track racing, we're going to have heats. It's going to be 6 laps of 6 cars. The top 2 transfer. We do not invert the field. The B main is going to be 8 laps, so you do have a chance to make the feature if you're not one of the first 2 finishers in the A mains. And the feature, we're going to have 40 laps of 18 cars. You can score points in qualifying, the heats, the B main, and the feature. Track state is going to start at 0%, and then it's going to carry over and slowly build up over time. Cautions are in the feature event only. The caution laps are not going to count, and we're going to have single file restarts under 10 laps to go.
Well, all of that is going to lead us to an absolutely fantastic way to go, and let's bring you to the action on track right now. Drivers are out on track for that practice session, and Austin, it looks fast out there.
Yeah, right now the track's about the freshest it's going to be all night, so you can really see these guys throwing the cars around, really trying to find out where the grip is. I think a lot of the grip's going to be up high for now. You might see the track kind of get rubbered in more, so the fast line might be around the bottom. I think this track is really going to lend itself to some high line racing, so probably going to be a top dominant track, but I'd be very, very optimistic to think that sliders aren't going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I think sliders are going to be the word of the day. We watch on board here with William Hargraves, one of those potential championship rivals out there, as he's riding the high line around here, kicking up the dirt onto that cushion.
Yeah, what he's mostly trying to do right now is sort of just find the limit of grip. Maybe try to see if he can build up that cushion, and maybe see if it can get larger and larger so he can catch himself on it throughout the race. I think a lot of these guys are trying to do that right now, but really mostly just become comfortable with what they're doing. This is a short track racing league. Usually on most short tracks, you're trying to, just rim right around the apron in the corners. So it's an entirely different skill set to be able to just drive the car up around the fence like you see these guys doing. Typical dirt track racing, though, you see guys like Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick do it a lot in the Cup Series, so these guys are just trying to become more and more acclimated to that high line racing.
Yeah, and it's going to be tricky to try to nail down that high line as much as possible. We watch there the 57 working that high line, little bit squirrely coming off of the corner, and even more squirrely as he comes back on there. Now we watch this is Bobby Hayes trailing behind J.R. Shepard. I think that's a sight we're going to see a whole lot of here tonight. Drivers just holding on behind one another.
Yeah, this is mostly going to be a race where you follow the leader. You might be able to pull a slide job, but it's going to be really, really important to make sure that you can clear that guy. You can see J.R. Shepard just went to the bottom, so we'll try to see if he can make it back up in front of him. Looks like he does for right now. Looks like he's going to stay on the bottom, see if he can come back up and clear himself in the front of Bobby here. He just barely isn't able to. So you can kind of see, again, track is still really high-line dominant.
It very much is, and there Bobby is going to be able to get on clear. That running order at the top in practice will surprise nobody. Brandon Proudfoot does top the order right now. Hargraves, Wilson, Ratley, and Kibbe behind him. And Austin, you and I were talking about this before the broadcast. It's some good news. We've got 20 drivers out here, which means there's going to be some bumping.
Well, I hate to say good news when you're sending people home, but it does mean that more and more people are getting done with whatever they were occupied with during the summer. So more and more guys are coming in here. The talent pool is getting larger and larger. So the racing is only going to get better and better for a fan standpoint.
I have to wholeheartedly agree with that. That's Jim Revis. They're stopped in the middle of the track as of right now. So you can watch Bobby Hayes. I believe that's a new wrap there for the 00 of Billy Northcutt.
I believe so. It's definitely very much different. Usually his car is a bright blue color. For right now, it seems predominantly black. He's a good decent amount of years sober. That's why he runs the Fistful of Water car to kind of combat the Fistful of Bourbon car driven by Brandon. So it's very cool to see him out here with a fresh paint job.
And is indeed, and love to hear that. Ooh, looks like somebody's going down for a little bit of a low line there. That would be Northcutt checking some things out, seeing if that low line can work. And Austin, we really didn't talk about it, but one of the biggest challenges around here in running that low line is the fear of those big old tractor tires down on the inside line.
Yeah, so just real quick, I want to touch on why Northcutt's doing that. Like you said, he is trying to find the grip. He's trying to see what he can do with the car. This is in case he needs to pull a slider line during one of his heats, or even the feature, or heaven forbid he gets involved in something in his heat, has to go to the B main and drive himself from the back to the front. So he's just trying to see where the grip is, and yeah, those tractor tires on the inside, right by the apex. If you hit one of those, it's definitely going to spin you out. It could also meatball your car. You might get a black flag in that scenario. It's just really hard to tell, but it's a lot easier if you can just be like a foot away from those and not have a fear of hitting them. But obviously, if you're going to go for a slider line, go all the way down to the tires. Just try not to hit them.
Yeah, you definitely want to get down there, and there is one of our fellow booth mates, Kenny Kibbe, out on track in the 14. Kenny putting in some good times to get himself all the way up into third place right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Kenny do that well, just because he joined practice pretty late. And even when I looked at the times the first time they were shown on the screen, Kenny was only like 5th or 6th fastest. So to see that he's still improving is really a true testament to how fast he is around here. I know this is one of his favorite tracks. He and I were running really well here a couple of years ago, seasons rather, and I believe on the backstretch he just ended up hitting something in the wall and it skewed his entire rear end. So he DNF'd, but he was having a really good run before that, definitely in line for a podium finish. So this, again, one of his strong suits. He likes the high-line tracks. I think those are one of his favorites. But yeah, super impressive to see him up in third, especially joining kind of late and setting faster times right now.
Yeah, it's very good to see, and we'll be privately rooting him on a little bit as he gets out there and going. There is your championship leader and the man currently on the top of that timing pole. That is Brandon Proudfoot, working on that high line, getting a little friendly with the outside retaining wall.
Yeah, it's really easy to find speed here by going higher and higher. You just always run that risk of going a little bit too high and bouncing your stuff off the wall. These guys, though, the really good guys like Brandon, he can just get right on that ragged edge of it. And I have talked to some of the other fast guys. Usually they're not quite hitting the wall. They just get really, really close to it, and due to the lagginess of the internet, they seem to be bouncing off of it. I don't know if I believe that for sure. I still think there's more speed to be found if you can hit the wall, but I guess that's what separates the good guys like them from the more poor guys like me on dirt racing.
I know that's always been one of my problems, is just finding that little barrier to be able to get it done, but Proudfoot looks like he's got it well enough underway. Still playing a little footsie with it up there. We tick down, though, about 30 seconds to go here, Austin.
Yep, practice time is really winding down. We'll have to see what all these guys can do in qualifying. This is when you start trying to see what line works for qualifying, because, of course, you can lay down your fastest lap as soon as the session opens, unless you're Kenny Kibbe, of course, and you might be able to do it about 15 laps into the session here. But you're really just trying to see where the grip is now that a bunch of cars have gotten out there, and see what line is the fastest. Maybe you want to cut it low in 1 and 2 and leave it all out on the high side in 3 and 4, or maybe you're mixing that. Maybe you're doing a slider line in each. Really hard to tell what the fastest line is going to be if you don't get out there and try it.
Well, we'll find out what those fastest lines are here shortly as we get ready to go racing. It's going to be very, very good to see. And there is Barney waving the checkered flag. We're ready to go.
Looks like Brandon Proudfoot's actually going to go out there and put his fast laps down right away. I think usually he's one of the guys that waits at least a couple minutes to see what all everyone else can do, kind of sort of like what Kenny Kibbe and JR can do. Looks like he's going to go to the high side in 3 and 4 here to start his lap, then going to cut down to straighten the exit to get himself more straightaway speed into 1 and 2 here.
Yeah, that indeed looks like what he's attempting to do, working it around there, trying to go on that high line. There's the cut down, taking the narrowest path from point A to point B.
Yeah, you can really see him right now just kind of riding where the edge of that grip is in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, he's going to put it right around out the wall. And it looks like in 3 and 4, though, he's going to keep it high this time as well, as we're going to focus on John Wilson from 613 Esports, our Canadian in the league.
Exactly, and John, as we've mentioned a couple of times, has been having a really good run as of late, putting in some very impressive times up in the 6th right now. Proudfoot, to the surprise of no one, up to the top of the order. Brendan Myers putting in a very good time to come home in 2nd right now. He's letting the tires cool off a little bit in the pits as we speak. There is that 0-0, though, of Billy Northcutt, and he's getting real familiar with that outside wall.
Yeah, that's one of the worst feelings you can have in qualifying, is to go out and absolutely just waste one of your laps. And a simple mistake like that, I've done it all the time in qualifying. You got 4 laps and immediately hit the wall. The worst thing you can do is hit the wall right at the start-finish line, because sometimes you hit it before and after, and then you've negated 2 of your laps, and then you're really screwed.
Yeah, indeed. And there is the number 12 out on track, having a little bit of problems getting up and across the line. Very easy to get squirrely here. Zachary Chapman bumps his way into 3rd, and Jason Best comes up into 5th now, because Billy Northcutt's been able to make his way into 3rd.
Yeah, you can see what Hunter did there coming out of 3 and 4, is he was just able to over-rotate the car there. It's a really slick track, especially if you want to do the low line. It's incredibly hard to put the power down there, as we look at Billy Northcutt here in the 0 car.
Yeah, Billy just trying to get some good laps and gets one down there. That's going to be a 4th place for Billy North. Looks like
we're looking at.
Yeah, that.
Looking at Johnny Ratley here in his Dirt Panda car. He's going to go to the top of the timing sheets here. Looks like he's going to go middle of 1 and 2. He's going to keep it high in 3 and 4. Looks like J.R. Shepard's out on track now as well. We'll have to see where he comes up on the timing sheets.
Indeed. We'll have to see where he comes up indeed as we continue to watch here as they make their way around again and again. Brendan Myers putting in a good time. J.R. Shepard up into 5th and Hargraves into 11th.
Interesting to see Brendan Myers goes out, puts in a couple fast laps. I believe he was 2nd or 3rd before. I think he used 2 of his laps to get himself up that high, and then decided to come out and do 1 or 2 more of his laps. So that's going to move him back into 4th and put J.R. Shepard in 5th. As Kenny Kibbe, our booth mate, is out there on the track right now trying to lay down some fast laps. Looks like he's going to rim ride the whole way around the track. I wonder if he's been watching the broadcast to see if he can tell where other drivers are currently trying to do their qualifying laps. He's going to do a little bit lower in 3 and 4. Actually come almost all the way down to the bottom before he crosses the start-finish line. We'll have to see if he can improve his time there. Looks like he does by just 1 position. We'll see if he can get any more here.
And indeed.
Looks like Kenny Kibbe is not going to be able to improve his time that last lap. We still have about 1 minute and 5 seconds left in the qualifying session here, but I think we've seen, oh, it looks like Billy Northcutt's going to go out and try and see if he can't put himself on pole in a last-ditch attempt. I think this should be his last lap. This might be his 4th of 4 laps, so we can see if he does any better here as he crosses the start-finish line. Does not look like he can. That might have been his warm-up lap, though. We'll see if he can finally improve on his position here.
We will see indeed as he's coming out of 3 and 4 right now, working his way around, and there he's going around.
Going around for sure. Doesn't look like he's able to improve his time. He might just be practicing at this point. We'll have to see if we can ride along with him and look at his lap times here to see just how many laps he's done. Yeah, he is just practicing now, as you can see. Spins himself into the infield. We're going to ride it with Johnny Ratley now.
Yes, we are, as Johnny works his way around, trying that low line here.
Really just trying to see where the grip is. Accidentally just over-rotates the car, though. Going ahead and hit the tow button to get out of here. So we have no more seconds left in qualifying. We're going to go on to the first heat here.
Yes, and this first heat is going to be a good one, obviously led off by Johnny Ratley with J.R. Shepard behind him and Jason Best lining up in P3.
John Wilson is going to line up to Jason's outside, followed by Joe Segala, and Kevin Moody is going to round out your 6-car heat field.
All right, Austin. So what are you going to be looking for in this top heat? What is going to be the thing that you are expecting to see? You think it's going to be high line? You think it's going to be low line? And who are you watching?
I think it's going to be Highline. I think it's definitely Highline at 1 and 2 like we saw most of the drivers doing, so I definitely expect for Johnny Ratley to come up and take that Highline away from J.R. Shepard. I think he's too fast a driver for Johnny to risk giving him that line. It doesn't look like he will just yet, though it looks like he's going to accelerate to tell J.R. he does want the high line. But I think the middle works really well on 3 and 4, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he did stay on the bottom. I think if I were him, I'd definitely want to go up to the top.
That would be my thought as well, but we'll have to see if he phases into that or not. Bradley looking like he's sticking to the bottom line here, though, so J.R. Shepard will be starting low with Best, Wilson, Segala, and Moody lining up behind them. iRacing Pace Truck pulls off here very, very early in the lap, so control of the field going over to Johnny Ratley, waiting, and there he is on it early, and they are off. J.R. Shepard slots into second. With that is Jason Best sliding into third.
Really early start there from Johnny. I don't know if that'll be a penalty for him. I assume it might be a slap on the wrist, worst case scenario, but J.R. Shepard able to tuck in behind him. Looks like they're all just going to try to rim right around the bottom here as much as they can. I really figured that J.R. Shepard would get a great launch, then John Wilson would actually end up passing Jason Best, but it looks like they're all just scrounging around the bottom of the track for right now.
It is indeed, and Ratley just kind of playing around on a middle line. J.R. Shepard trying to carry some momentum there, taking it out to the high line right now. Brings it back down and under. Rear end of the car sliding out there a little bit for J.R. Shepard as we are about ready to cross over here and halfway of this first heat in the books. A lot of problems there for drivers trying to get grip out of the corners.
Yeah, it's really hard. You can see drivers like John Wilson and Joe Segala just slip-sliding around everywhere, having a really hard time finding the grip. That's one of the hardest things for these drivers to do, is to see where the grip is. The good drivers like Johnny and JR can do that really easily, whereas it takes a really trained eye to see that if you're back in the pack.
Yeah, indeed. And so now 2 laps to go as they keep on moving here. The order relatively unchanged from your start. Barney waves the white flag here for Johnny Ratley, hoping to continue on from his success at Knoxville last time out. Ratley brings that car around, and here he goes out of turn 4 one last time and across the finish line. Johnny Ratley will win the first heat with J.R. Shepard automatically advancing. Jason Best, John Wilson, Kevin Moody not being able to advance along with Joe Segala. They'll go back to the B main. And now, Austin, we get ready for the second heat here, and it is championship leader Brandon Proudfoot on the top of the pylon with Zachary Chapman behind him in second and Jim Revis lining up in third.
Jeffrey Harden's going to line up fourth, followed by Steven Spees and Steven Hilbert.
All right, so a bit of an unknown here. Chapman, a relative newcomer to this series, so it'll be interesting to see what he's got wound up under him. Also going to be keeping an eye on Jim Revis there in that third place position. Didn't expect him to be starting this far down.
Yeah, definitely a surprise to be sure. I'm also surprised that Steven Spees also qualified as poorly as he did. You can see him lining up fifth. Steven is usually one of the guys that doesn't show up every week, but when he does show up, can really take it to the fast guys like Proudfoot, Revis, even Rafferty when he was still here, as well as Johnny Ratley. So I'm kind of interested to see maybe Steven, if he botched a qualifying lap or two, I expect him to come back to the field though.
I do too, and Proudfoot here opting to take on the high line. Waiting for his go is the rest of the field, and there it is, very squirrely there for the 72 of Zachary Chapman as they got going. And there you see that as Revis diving to the middle. Chapman trying to get something working on the low line, but nothing doing there. Proudfoot streaking into the lead.
Yeah, Proudfoot got a really, really excellent jump there off the high line. A lot easier to rotate the car and to know when you're getting on the power. If you're that second place guy, especially on the inside, your wheels turned a bit more. You're also caught off guard when the guy on your outside puts the power down and decides to go. So it's really, really easy to spin the tires there. And you can see it just got the best of Chapman there.
Indeed it did, and he looked like he was going to be under a little bit of pressure there from Jeffrey Harden coming up behind in the 36. There you see that car in the Indiana setting sun behind it, but Harden looking like he's not able to close. Not seeing a whole lot of passing here, Austin, in the early stages of these heat races.
Yeah, it's really hard to pass someone, when it's all just follow the leader. You can see all the grip is mostly just in the middle of the track here. It's really hard to determine what these guys are thinking their grip's going to be like later in the race. You can see, Brandon Proudfoot started on the outside. Maybe he's going to try rim ride here, but I guess he's flirting with the outside finally now, but still kind of, taking a bottom line in 3 and 4. Maybe, the grip's starting to move up outside. That's usually what we see happen is the grip starts slow and then it just moves further and further out to the wall there. You can see, I think Brandon's pretty comfortable in that cushion now.
I think he is too, and we've got a little bit of a battle here for fourth place as we take the white flag. That Speed's trying to go by, but up front, it is Brandon Proudfoot taking the victory here with Zachary Chapman advancing behind him. Harden will come home in third, and it looks like Revis is going to be able to hold off Steven Spees there at the very final. Stephen Hilbert coming home in sixth. So that will round out the second heat, and now we move on to heat 3. 2 more to go here. Spees was able to pip Harden there at the line, so that changes things up. But now this is the third heat, and in that it's the 0-0 of Billy Northcutt. Bobby Hayes will be starting alongside him with Austin Smith lining up in third.
Fourth is going to be Ryan Seneker, followed by Patrick Spangler in fifth.
All right there. So, Austin, we are halfway through these heat races. What have you learned? We talked a little bit about how that middle of the track was starting to look good, and maybe we're thinking about moving up on the high line, but anything that's really surprising you thus far?
Yeah, I'm really surprised just how much of a follow the leader race it still is. You can see Brandon Proudfoot just started to get to the outside line there. I really expected for that to be dominant the entire night here, but it looks like the grip is slowly going out there. So you can see Billy Northcutt looks like taking the high line. I think he is going to try to rim ride this race as much as he can. I think he saw how good of a start Brandon Proudfoot was able to get. Of course, he didn't have to turn the wheel as much, and it's a lot easier to put the power down if you're on the outside. And it's just also a lot easier to not have to worry about a slide jump if you do start up top.
Yeah, exactly. That would be my concern as well. So, all right, for the second race running, we see the leader taking up to the high line, and there he is. Pace truck is in. All eyes focused on that 0-0 machine, waiting for it to kick off. Waiting. And there goes Billy Northcutt. We are underway here for the third heat race. He's able to get an advantage as they dive into turn 1. That looks like the 86 of Austin Smith being very, very aggressive. And here comes Seneca on the outside. 3 wide. That was contact in the back with Smith.
Absolutely brilliant stuff there from Ryan Seneca, able to hold his stuff on the outside. I would expect him to maybe finish P2 if he just keeps putting in some solid laps here. Going to look at a replay. This is Austin Smith coming out of turns 1 and 2 there. Just going to go 3 wide, barely taps the 13 of Bobby Hayes. And of course, just with the center of gravity of these cars is going to send him right around, and he'll have it all to do in the last half of the race here.
He will indeed, but there we watch the number 2 of Patrick Spangler trying to dive down onto the inside of Bobby Hayes, not getting that move quite done. Hayes continuing to run a middle to high line here, letting that car drift up, and there goes Spangler again, trying to make that middle line work. It looks like he's getting a pretty good run out of it.
Yeah, all these guys right now are trying to fight for the best spot they can possibly get in the B main, because right now they're not going to advance. Currently, that's going to be Billy Northcutt because he's going to win the heat. And P number 2 in this race, still an absolute shock to me, Ryan Seneca. He's just gapping all these guys. He's still getting gapped by Northcutt, but that's to be expected. Northcutt's just too good on this dirt stuff, but he's still gapping the rest of the field. So great stuff here out of Ryan Seneca.
And indeed, they are going to cross the line right now. That will be Billy Northcutt taking the white flag out here. 1 lap to go. Barney waving that flag in the air. There is the 13th of Bobby Hayes holding on to third. And the winner of this third heat race will be Billy Northcutt. Ryan Seneca with that great charge up the field that you talked about, Austin. Bobby Hayes behind him, Patrick Spangler, and Austin Smith rounding out the field here. Well, it's 1 to go. We have 1 more heat race, and then it is ready to get rolling. And I've got to say, there is some great names in this final heat race. Brendan Myers will be taking the pole here, followed by VGN's own Kenny Kibbe, with William Hargraves back in third.
Hunter Hill is going to line up 4th, followed by Stacy Hunter in 5th.
And that is going to do it. I'll tell you who I'm keeping my eye on here a lot, and that is going to be Hargraves, starting off in that 3rd place. The 71 machine, we're used to see him fighting at the front. He's down the order here, so he's going to have some work to do.
Yeah, usually Hargraves is one of the guys you see qualifying in the first 4 spots so we can actually have the pole for his heat race. And usually at that point, he can just run away with it. So maybe he didn't quite, wasn't able to find the grip in his qualifying laps there. I'm not quite sure why he's so far back in the field, but I definitely look for him to make up a couple spots here on the initial start. But I tell you one thing that's going to hurt him and Kenny Kibbe is being on the inside. I think that grip has finally transitioned to the outside of the track. So I'll be curious to see what they can do here.
I will as well. And Brennan Myers, your pole sitter here, is starting on that high line, so waiting to see what he can do with it. The pace truck has pulled in. We are ready for the final heat here at Kokomo, and Myers is on it very, very early. Gets a good jump. Tail gets a little bit squirrely coming off of the line. Kenny Kibbe trying to dive down to the inside, seeing if he can keep that momentum. But Hargraves sending a great little move down to the inside of him. He's already challenging.
Yeah, very, very early start there by Brennan Myers. I'd be curious to see if that was in turn 4 even, but you can see they're all kind of, falling over each other here in the back. Great move by William Hargraves, though, just absolutely sending it down to the bottom, kind of like what Kenny Kibbe just did there. He might be able to make it stick and go to the high line here. Not quite able to clear Hargraves, but we'll see if Kenny Kibbe can finally do it coming onto the front stretch. Looks like he can clear him, but he's not going to stay up high. I think Kenny Kibbe's going to keep going to that low line there as we see Hargraves just bouncing it off the wall there pretty aggressively. Kenny was almost able to get all the way up to Brendan Myers there.
Yes, he was, and Kenny keeps pushing as they come 3 wide out of the corner here, crossing over to start lap 5. Not a lot of time now. Oh, but Kibbe gets sideways. Kenny Kibbe very sideways coming into turn 1. That's going to cost him 2 positions as Hunter Hill is even able to get by him. Brennan Myers in turn now continues to value with Hargraves. Hargraves tries to throw a slider, but momentum carries to the 25.
Brennan Myers able to hold strong around the top of the racetrack. I think if he can keep himself up there and keep putting in decent laps, I don't believe that Hargraves would be able to pass him. It depends really on where the start-finish line is and when he gets the run. Is they're going to come around to take the white flag this time?
And the white flag is out. They were neck and neck as they crossed over the line. Myers getting a little bit friendly with the outside wall.
Looks like Brennan ended up scraping the outside wall there, and it's going to really hurt him going down the backstretch. And you can see Hargraves got to pull a slide job on him to take the win in heat number 4.
Well, Hargraves there pulling out all of the stops. That was a great move there for him, moving up 3 positions to automatically advance. Brendan Myers will also advance behind him. Hunter Hill, Kenny Kibbe, and Stacy Hunter not moving on, but that is going to then bring us to the B main here. And this is where we will decide who stays and who goes home. Looking for the last 2 here. They will not transfer. But starting off in the front, it'll be Jason Best, followed by Jeffrey Harden. Bobby Hayes will be behind them with Hunter Hill, John Wilson, and Steven Spies rounding out your top 6. Patrick Spengler and Kenny Kibbe will be your top 8.
Joe Segala is going to line up 10, rounding out your top 10 is going to be Jim Rivas. 11th is going to be Austin Smith, and followed by Stacy Hunter in 12th.
All right, Austin. So some more cars out on track here. More cars out on track here right now. What do you think this is going to mean for the rest of the field?
Well, right now it's basically, finish well or go home. Right, so you're either going to need to pass cars if you're in the last 4 spots, or you need to finish really, really well here because, the last 2 spots, So Hilbert and Moody going to have a lot of work to do if they want to actually make the feature event. So, well, I guess if you're back there, either try to pass some cars, but if you're somewhere in the middle of the field, you want to kind of be a little bit easy here to make sure you're not involved in a wreck.
Indeed you do, and waiting for it to fly. It's a very, very chaotic start there at the front, but that is Jason Best able to get out and going well. Behind him, Hunter Henry, Jeffrey Hunter line into line. Steven Spies trying to make things work. Oh, contact between the 2nd and 3rd place cars.
We got cars spinning down the backstretch having a checkup for one another. It's going to be Steven Spies. Looks like he's going to lose out the most. But I think Hunter Hill probably lost out the second most. You can see he lost a lot of positions. Joe Segala actually goes spinning in the back. He's going to try to get himself ready before the field comes back around. He's going to have a lot of work to do in the second half of this race.
And we're going to check out the replay here. You can see Segala there in the 81 machine as he comes around. Oh, just that contact sending him spinning around with the outside line. So that will send Segala backwards, but we focus up front. This is Steven Spies. That is the 36 of Jeffrey Harden and John Wilson to his inside. Kenny Kibbe also looking there on the outside. Ooh, good battles here. That's the 75 of John Wilson on Jeffrey Harden.
Yeah, you can see Kenny Kibbe trying to get all the speed he possibly can out of that outside line. Contact actually is going to upset Hardin's car, and it's going to spin John Wilson actually onto the inside of the track completely.
And what that's going to mean for Wilson is he is now going to be getting dangerously close to the danger zone here. Stephen Hilbert riding at his outside. That is the final transfer position that Wilson currently drives in. But there is Bobby Hayes working on a 3, almost 4 wide there on the number 2 of Patrick Spengler as we cross over here running the 6th lap. That is the 14 of Kenny Kibbe trying to make a move on Jeffrey Hardin.
Yeah, right now Kenny's trying to get all the points he possibly can. You can see his in-car. Kenny's really sawing on that wheel. Usually he's known for having a really, really smooth hand during the asphalt series, but you can see you really got to saw at the wheel in this dirt stuff. It's a completely different animal. Kenny, though, able to master them both pretty well. You can see right now he's in 3rd, making great progress in the back. You can see, though, just to touch on that, John Wilson, he was on the bubble. Now it's Hunter on the bubble. John Wilson been able to move himself up into 11th place currently.
Indeed, and a little bit of bang in there, but we got to go to the front because Jason Best is about to win here, and when he does, behind him, Steven Spies and Kenny Kibbe round out your podium in this B main, and it looks like the 2 cars not advancing here today as everyone crosses over the line will be Stephen Hilbert and Joe Segala. So those 2 drivers not able to make the A main here today. The final finishing order from the B main, though, as we said, Jason Best, Steven Spies, and Kenny Kibbe on the podium. Jeffrey Hardin behind them with Jim Revis, Bobby Hayes, and Patrick Spengler. Austin Smith coming home in P8.
P9 is going to go to Hunter Hill as Kevin Moody rounds out your top 10. John Wilson going to come home P11. Then Stacy Hunter is the last car to advance into the A main, the feature event. And unfortunately, like you just mentioned, DJ, Stephen Hilbert and Joe Segala, unfortunately, both going to have to go home tonight.
Actually, Austin, I think that may be my mistake. I'm looking at the screens, and we had 2 more entries come in before I realized it. So the 4 drivers that are not going to be here tonight, it's going to be Wilson, Segala, excuse me as I try to pull this out. So it's actually 4 drivers that did not make the field. So that's going to be a very, very tough blow to them out here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Bad math on our part because there's actually a 4th heat, so only 10 cars can advance. That is going to be 4. It's going to be John Wilson, Hunter Hilbert, and Segala. It's a lot different when you get more cars here. They run that extra heat, so it's a lot harder to do the math in your head. You memorize 3 heats at a time, 12 guys advancing in each, but just a little bit different here.
Yeah, so that is going to be a bit of heartbreak for theirs. A couple of those guys just falling into some...
Yeah, especially if you're someone like Joe Segala, you can see he was in the perfect position to kind of just advance his way quietly, slowly, methodically get his way into the feature event, but just made that unfortunate contact. Was almost able to save it. I think a bit of netcode, though, was his final demise going into turn 1. Just a little bit of a disparity in the entrance speed, and kind of the angle those 2 cars were on, spinning Joe out. And unfortunately for him, no one else had any unfortunate events happen to them large enough to be able to put him back into the feature event.
No, exactly, and that is one of the things of dirt racing that you can just get caught out by sometimes if you get it wrong. But we watch here Brandon Proudfoot, who is currently on the top of the leaderboards in this warm-up. This warm-up here, 5 minutes, obviously very, very important for a lot of drivers. They want to go out and feel what this track is going to feel like if they haven't been out there for a while.
Yeah, especially if you're someone that was out there in the first 2 heats before the top line really came into its own. You're used to running on the bottom and finding speed down there. Right now, you want to make sure you're still comfortable running up by that cushion, making sure you can still find speed out there. Real quick, though, I want to touch on this one thing. You know, DJ, who are some of the faster guys that you were surprised qualified so poorly but have ended up showing speed? Right now, I'm looking at maybe Kenny Kibbe. He qualified well, really well, in fact, and then he lost out in that heat because he almost spun, but he finished on the last step of the podium there. Even a guy like Steven Spies, is there anyone else you can think of?
Well, right now I'm looking. Remember, Cargraves did not qualify well. He qualified out of the finishing, or out of the automatic transfers. He qualified in 3rd in his heat. He's got some good speed there in the top 5, so he'll be able to start further up the field, but I think he's one to really watch here as he is currently 5th in this warm-up.
Yeah, I think you've definitely nailed the one to watch there, especially having to start as deep as he is. I think he's going to be probably the one we see throwing sliders the most out of any driver out here, just because he is going to start as far back in the field as you're talking about. One thing though, I'm also watching Johnny Ratley. He's kind of taking that high line, running the cushion, and about 3/4 of the way through the turn, he just kind of diamonds off the corner to straighten his exit. Right now, he's trying to find speed or see if he can find any speed that is in the middle of the track here. And this is just what the better dirt guys do. They can go out, look at the track, find the grip, and sometimes even if it doesn't look like it, they just go, oh, maybe I better try that line, and then memorize all these different lap times in their head and say, okay, well, if I ran up the top and I got a 19.2, maybe I can run in the middle and get a 19.1 or a 19 flat. Maybe if I go slightly in between those two, maybe I can even hit a 19 flat or an 18.9. So really just depends.
Yeah, it does indeed. And one of the drivers that we always talk about being the best in terms of that is the fact that Proudfoot always able to read out very, very well the different states of the track. He just kind of has an inherent ability to tell when the track is starting to go away.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is about what he can see versus other drivers. I will also say he's probably got one of the best race paces throughout the entire field. When he first joined the league, he was able to put on a great qualifying effort. He'd come out, maybe get beat by someone just narrowly to the race victory. Anymore, it seems like, I don't know if the rest of the field has gotten better or if he's gotten worse at qualifying, because you can see him barely make it into the top 3, sometimes the top 5 in qualifying. But anymore, it just seems like as soon as he gets out into the lead, which he does pretty often, he just kind of runs away with the victory.
Yes, indeed. But I would have to say it's a little bit of the latter because we've heard Proudfoot talk about just the increased talent in the field working their way up. But we're right now about to find out what that talent can do as we're ready to go racing here in the A main of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. Johnny Ratley will be starting off on pole after his victory last time out in Knoxville. Brandon Proudfoot will line up beside him with Billy Northcutt and William Hargraves behind them. J.R. Shepard will start 5th, followed by Zachary Chapman, with Ryan Seneker putting in a great job to come home in 7th. Brendan Myers behind him, and Jason Best and Steven Spees will round out your top 10.
Starting 11th is going to be Kenny Kibbe. 12th is going to be Jeffrey Harden. 13th is Jim Rivas, followed by Bobby Hayes, Patrick Spengler, Austin Smith, Hunter Hill, and Kevin Moody is going to round out your 18-car feature field.
All right, so this is the most cars we've seen out on track as of right now. Getting ready here for the last couple of drivers to line up before we get going, and there indeed, we are ready to go. Let's see what Ratley decides to choose here, if he's going to start high or low. My guess is he'll probably want to go high. Indeed, that's what it looks like he is indicating, and that means Proudfoot will start to his inside.
Certainly, I'm not too surprised by him taking the outside line. We were just talking about how all the grip had moved up. Interesting to see, though, that Johnny's chosen the outside here, even though he was just looking for grip in the middle of the track. Maybe looking at that grip in the middle is a worst-case scenario, but I think this, again, is going to be a high-line dominant track. But again, some of the faster guys have shown that you can actually make quite a bit of passes running that lower line.
Yes, they have, looking particularly at Kenny Kibbe, who was able to make some good runs down there. But let's get ready to go racing. All eyes on the number 1 of Johnny Ratley here as he runs that high line. And there he goes. We are racing in the A-main here at Kokomo, and already there's contact. That's Billy Northcutt spinning around before they even cross to the line, and that's going to bring out the first yellow.
Yeah, you can see right here, all the drivers try to put the power down. It looks like Billy Northcutt just got a little bit squirrely after making contact with the 71 there, William Hargraves. Unfortunately for J.R. Shepard, nothing for him to do. Again, yeah, I mean, even if this is asphalt, the cars do respond a bit better on pavement, but there's still not enough grip or time for J.R. to react. There's no way he would have seen that coming. So unfortunately for him, now he's got damage on the front end of his car, but I don't see it affecting the handling and the speed of his car too much. But it looked like there was even some contact in the back of the field going into turns 1 and 2 here. I saw the corner of my eye.
Yeah, I saw that as well, and it really does look like Northcutt caught Shepard rather caught the worst of that as they went around. Here's a look back. This is Bobby Hayes in the 13 machine, again getting very squirrely. They cross over the line. Oh, that is the 36 there of Harden that he got into. So Hayes picking up some damage as he ran into Harden. Looks like both of the drivers that hit the car in front of them, the ones who suffered the most damage there, Shepard and Hayes.
Yeah, it looked like there's a bit of a difference in opinion of, who had what line entering turns 1 and 2 there between Seneca and Harden. Unfortunately, it just upset Seneca's car a little bit. Looks like a lot of cars, though, have been black flagged. As we can see, I guess they're going green.
No, I believe they threw it out for one more pace lap here to get everything back and under control. I think some of those black flags were just a little bit of a problem with the iRacing system, saying they may have passed under yellow or something of that nature. Waiting here to get everything back and underway. I don't believe we're ready to go green here. We do have live race control, so they are able to throw it out. Indeed, the pace truck is back out on track. Okay, so here we're slowing everything down, waiting. Let's see. Yeah, pace truck is still out there, so we've got at least one more lap.
Yeah, you can see it looks like the live admin, Lil Jewel in charge of the entire league, runs a great league, especially on both Friday night, Saturday morning, and Saturday night. One of the best in the business at it. Looks like the lights are finally out on top of the iRacing pace truck. Oh, they just come back on. So apparently we'll do 2 more laps at least of caution here, and then we'll get back going.
Yeah, indeed we will. And this is all just to kind of get things under control. Get things under control here and make sure everything's going nice and smooth. They want to make sure the field is all bunched up. Driver's very excited to get going.
Yeah, one of the more difficult parts about not having caution laps count on a dirt track especially, it all comes down to the last timing loop. So if one car spins out and it gets passed by other guys, those guys are then going to be black flagged for, like you said there, DJ, passing under yellow.
Well, we're finally ready to get going green here again, and there comes the power from Johnny Ratley, but it's also a good jump there back from Brandon Proudfoot. They dive into one, and that's Hargraves trying to make a look on the super low line, seeing what he can get grip there. He's going to lead off in the corner, but a mega run for Johnny Ratley up top.
Yeah, huge run for Johnny Ratley up top. That was a really early start from him. I believe he started even in turn 3, so I'll look to see maybe a slap on the wrist from the league admin there, just because you kind of can't stack the field up like that. But William Hargraves right now putting on an absolute clinic in terms of running that low line.
Indeed he is. He's really making it work there, and he's now going to be out front. Ooh, we've got a little bit of something there going on in the back. This is the restart. That's Brendan Myers doing some good work on the high line. Is he going to come into contact there with Steven Spees? No, it doesn't look like it. He's able to get through, but we are still 3 wide. Oh, that was a mistake from Proudfoot cutting down onto the grass. He's going to lose time.
Yeah, Hargraves was able to take the lead back for a split second until he went all the way up to the high line, and Johnny Ratley and Brandon Proudfoot were actually able to get back underneath him. Looks like Ryan Seneca has a bit of damage. Going to go ahead and nose his car into the wall there. I think he probably damaged his steering. Might be from the cutout here. Yep, as you can see, he just kind of goes off the track there. You can see a very ill-handling car.
Yeah, but we're going to focus back here on the lead. This is Ratley leading from Proudfoot, leading from Hargraves, but momentum carrying Hargraves around the outside line here, able to push. We ride on board with the 71 Dirt Panda Racing Team car as he is working that high line very, very well, trying to keep up behind the leader of Johnny Ratley.
Yeah, what Johnny's doing right now, even if he thinks it might be faster to go around the top on both ends of the track, he's just kind of cutting down in the middle to make sure that, William Hargraves behind him can't possibly pull a slider. But I think right now, all the grip's just in the top in 1 and 2 and in the middle in 3 and 4. You can kind of see most of the field's running that same line.
Indeed they are. We continue to ride on board with Hargraves here. Looking, seeing what he's got as they continue to go around. Nothing doing there. Whoa, Proudfoot getting very, very close to that tractor tire. The lower line not going to carry the momentum, but he is certainly pressing.
Yeah, the best thing about the lower line for Banner right now is that it's a shorter distance, so he is able to kind of shortcut the corners. But again, when you're outside that on the high side, you don't have to turn your wheel as much. You're able to keep up the momentum. Brandon's been trying that low line both ends of the track. I think he has finally decided it's go time. Oh, he about darn near nailed the tractor tire in 1 and 2 there. I'll be interested to see if he doesn't end up taking himself out on one of those things.
I would be as well, Austin. He's playing fast and loose with that down there as we cross over to start lap 13 here at Kokomo. The leaders finally in single file order out front. Behind them It is J.R. Shepard and Steven Spees running in. A little bit of a hornet's nest there in the back. That is Brennan Myers getting very, very squirrely. That's the 72 of Zachary Chapman and the 57 of Jim Revis trying to close up behind.
Yeah, Steven Spees ended up coming up to this battle here. He was lucky enough to get himself through it before there's actually a really large fight. Right now, looks like William Hargrave's going to finally try something on the bottom. I think Johnny Ratley doesn't look like he's able to pull it off, though.
No, it doesn't. We ride on board with Hargraves here, and that is some lap traffic that they were...
That's right, DJ. It looks like these guys are going to come up on lap traffic here. It's very heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, excuse me, to do it in an asphalt car, but especially here on dirt, it's a lot harder to take a weird line going in the corner if you're trying to get out of their way. Sometimes you can slide up the track and actually ended up ruining their race. We've seen that a couple times here. Actually happened to Bobby Rafferty, I believe, last season. He had his race ruined by a lap down car. As you can see, these guys are currently going at each other. Looks like Brandon Proudfoot actually able to go up to the lead here. Going to be challenged here by Johnny Ratley on the inside, though. 3 wide. They're going to almost spin themselves out on Jeffrey Hart as he's just trying to stay out of their way, trying to take the high line to let all the leaders by. He's doing his own thing. Of course, nothing that he's doing wrong. These guys are just currently going at it for the race victory.
Yeah, they are going at it absolutely tooth and nail around here, seeing what they can do. Ooh, and Hargraves now working on that high line, seeing if he can get something going there, but it looks like he's going to have momentum over the number 1 of Johnny Ratley. Proudfoot continues to lead, though, in that familiar position. It's a battle for P2.
Yeah, right now, I think unless Brandon has something happen or a lap car on the outside, I think he currently is in the best seat of the house. It's really interesting, though, to see all these guys have to run really well up high to stay out in front of each other, and then also see them have to run down low really well to see if they can make any passes, because, of course, if you're just following the leader or the person ahead of you, there is no way you can possibly pass them unless you do something contrary to what they're doing, and that's what you see these guys are trying to do. You saw Johnny Ratley try to run down low. Turns out, I guess he's apparently, for right now, not one of the better drivers at doing it, just with how much the track is slicked off here. So it looks like top 3 leaders currently. You can see the separation, 0.6 from Proudfoot to Hargraves, and then 1.3 seconds back to Ratley in third.
Yeah, Johnny Ratley definitely looking like he's losing out here a little bit to the rest of the field, and especially those 2 leaders. Lap traffic sticking down low. We jump back here, though. This is Kenny Kibbe. He's fallen down a little bit from his starting position, currently in a battle here with Jason Best, and that is the number 2, Patrick Spengler. That's a lap car directly ahead.
Yeah, you can see Kenny again, sawing at his wheel. I think he was one of the guys that was unfortunately had some trouble happen to him during that first caution. I believe he had to take his fast repair, and that might have been why he had to get his black flags cleared. You can see, though, making up a lot of positions. We're going to look at Steven Spees right now. He's another one of those guys that's made up a lot of positions since the start of the race. Steven, like I said, one of those guys, when he shows up, he's always won a challenge for a top 5 position. You can see currently in the top 5 right now trying to hunt down J.R. Shepard in that number 98 Different Path Motorsports machine.
Yeah, indeed. And this is not the kind of race that Steven necessarily likes to drive. He always talks about how he doesn't really like the high-line dominant tracks, much prefers something where you can dive down low a little bit more. And right now, he's being forced to run a little bit higher, but keeping a good battle on to J.R. Shepard.
Yeah, you can see he's been able to hunt J.R. Shepard down, so currently right on his tailpipes, trying to take that 4th position away. 4th position, super, super critical to be, if we have a restart, you're going to be on that high line. You can see these guys currently just wall riding almost, just barely, pushing that cushion up against the wall. You can see Brendan Proudfoot, one of the best at it, followed by William Hargraves, caught up to him.
Oh, and this looks like Austin Smith coming down. I think Austin is calling it a day here, unfortunately. That car just not looking like it's the best.
Yeah, you can see sometimes the guys in the back of the field, once they realize they're starting to be lapped and they have no more positions to make up, they will just go ahead and park their car for the end of the rest of the race. They want to make sure they don't do what Jeffrey Hart did. Again, nothing that he did wrong there. I guess he's going to do the exact same thing here to make sure that he doesn't end up getting involved with one of the leading cars and bring out a caution.
And that is a good sign of sportsmanship as we jump back on board in the battle for the lead. This is William Hargrave.
Like DJ was mentioning, yep, William Hargraves currently trying to hunt down Brandon Proudfoot there. Right now, it's all about how you catch the lap down cars. Actually, a car is being spun out here in turns 3 and 4. He's going to roll over into the infield. No caution yet. You can see that right here. Looks like that's going to be Zach Chapman. We'll have to see how he ends up getting so sideways here. And then barrel rolling, just going to over-rotate the car. And, of course, nowhere for Brandon Myers and Billy Northcutt to go. So, oh, yep, you can see he just tangles with one of the tractor tires right there. Those things are evil, let me tell you.
Yeah, they will come out to bite you and bite you indeed, Austin, as that's going to cause him to spin around. Watching here, watching. Hargraves looking like he's starting to put the pressure on to Proudfoot a little bit more as we close down to the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, right now, if you're Hargraves, it doesn't really look like there's a whole lot of opportunities here. Looks like you're going to have to catch a lap-down car and hope to use that as a pick to kind of get around Brandon Proudfoot. But unfortunately for Hargraves, Brandon's one of the best in the business at moving around these lap-down cars and just changing up his line. We've seen him do it countless times here. If one of the lap-down cars wants to go high, he'll just say, okay, cut low, and pull a huge slider on him. He's really been using that to great effect here to get around him.
Yeah, he certainly has. Starting to push a little bit more. Now, up ahead of them, that is the 47 of Jason Best. A little bit more lap traffic. We're already on lap 37 around here, so 4 laps to go. Proudfoot getting friendly with the wall. Hargraves trying to close.
Yeah, if Brandon keeps doing that multiple times, it might end up ruining his steering, so we'll have to see if he ends up getting a meatball for that. These cars, of course, you can drive with a broken steering system. Not very easy, though, although if there was one person to do it, I'd probably say Brandon Proudfoot.
I would too. Hargraves here looking down a little bit to the inside, trying to challenge the best that he can. Not able to get it going there, but now he's going to take a look down to the super low side. Maybe he can use some of that lap traffic as a pick, but I think that's going to slow his momentum ever so slightly. They're getting ready to run to the white flag here. That is going to be Proudfoot up on the high line. Hargraves down to the low line, trying to desperately use those lap cars as a pick as they take the white flag. Hargraves running out of time to make this move work. He's now going to get into it and almost slides into the side of Jason Best. That's going to give Proudfoot a little bit more of an advantage. Hargraves still down to the low side, hoping he can get it, but it's not going to happen. Brandon Proudfoot back on the top step of the podium where he loves to be. Behind him, it will be William Hargraves and Johnny Ratley finishing in 3rd place. Steven Spees just now crossing over the line to come home in 4th with J.R. Shepard behind them all the way down to 9th place, a lap down here, Austin. That came at you fast as all can be.
Yeah, what a race. Unfortunately there, Hargraves just barely couldn't make it work. The lap down cars kind of moved down to the middle of the track to let them both have a top and the bottom, and just did not work out for William Hargraves there. But of course, Brandon Proudfoot, as a leader, they're kind of obliged to kind of maybe go towards the middle of the track. But really exciting race.
Absolutely fantastic, and we'll run you through that finishing order. As we said, taking the win here, Brandon Proudfoot, followed by William Hargraves in 2nd and Johnny Ratley behind him in 3rd. Steven Spees and J.R. Shepard round out your top 5, with Brendan Myers in 6th and Billy Northcutt in 7th. Jim Revis was 8th, followed by Kenny Kibbe and Jason Best, the first car a lap down.
First car outside of the top 10 is going to be Hunter Hill, followed by Patrick Spangler in 12th. 13th is going to go to Bobby Hayes, fitting for his car number. Zach Chapman going to finish 14th, followed by Kevin Moody in 15th. Austin Smith is going to be 16th, followed by Jeffrey Harden and Ryan Seneca rounding out your field.
Well, that was an absolute doozy of a race. I am out of breath, as I always seem to be at the end of these broadcasts, Austin. But after a tough time out last week, Brandon Proudfoot really securing there. And I've got to say, one of the toughest stories there is going to be Billy Northcutt, who fell down through the order. He is not going to be pleased with that. But we have here the winner of today's race, Brandon Proudfoot, with us in the booth. Brandon, that was a great run there for you. 3-wide battle there at the top, and then holding off Hargraves at the end.
It was definitely difficult and much needed after last week. Track was a lot more even than anticipated. I know last season here I ended up winning by really cruising around the bottom. That never really came in as much as I thought it would. I held my own there at the beginning, but it was pretty even there.
Well, talk to me about those last couple of laps that you were closing down in on, because it looked like Hargraves was just kind of stalking you and then made the moves down to the inside. Were you worried with that lap traffic coming up?
For sure. And William, he was right on me, and the pressure was definitely there. There were a few instances where I missed turn one, and he gave me a bump, and there's nothing he could do there. But he was definitely close enough. He could have made the move, and I frankly think there definitely would have been a slide job there for sure if it wasn't for those lap cars.
Well, this obviously helps you re-solidify your lead in the championship. Northcutt didn't have the best race. Ratley did finish with you on the podium. I know you keep talking about just the strength of field and everybody that's coming back up here. I mean, do you think you can continue to win here, or is this finally the year that somebody else comes up to take the crown from you?
I'm gonna say just yes. It's I definitely am gonna do my best throughout the season for my sponsor, my family, everybody. But competitions get tougher and tougher. This isn't just a down home league that you can. Well, it still is, but it's not just a group of guys that just race for fun anymore. It's everybody's gotten competitive. Everybody has gotten real good. I mean, Brendan Myers, he was ripping the top. Like I could have blinked twice. I thought it was JR. But it's the guys are just getting so incredible, and with more talent coming into the league, it's just increasing it more and more. And it's really just putting on a great show, and it's as much as fun as it is to drive as it is to watch.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I can't tell you how much I enjoy watching you guys each and every week. Brandon, you know the shtick. Anybody you'd like to thank for the win here tonight?
Of course, Fistful of Bourbon, winners get whiskey, baby. General Tire, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Saint Racing Fabrication, Chris Leone Motorsport Drop, well, and all the guys here that make stuff go in the background, all the drivers, another great car count, guys. Great job. You guys here at Virtual Grip Network for doing the broadcast, and girlfriend, family, and everybody that roots me on the broadcast and all the socials. See what happens next week.
We will indeed. That was Brandon Proudfoot, your winner here today. And now, Austin, I believe you've caught up with our second place finisher, William Hargraves.
I have, yeah. William, first off, great job tonight, especially qualifying. You know, we saw you qualify third for your heat race. You're able to march up through there. Tell us a little bit about your race there, especially being on the back end of Brandon Proudfoot at the end.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun race for sure. It was exciting there. Just following him, and I can't say I was any faster than him, but I felt like he made a couple mistakes there, and like you said there, if them lap cars at the end maybe weren't there, maybe it would have been a little bit closer of a finish, but either way, something had to happen. I mean, I couldn't follow him, so I tried what I could do, and second's all right.
Yeah, we saw you guys train the lead there for about the first 10 or 20 laps. Tell us a little bit about, you know, how fun it is and how difficult it is to kind of find where the grip is and be able to pull the slide jobs on these fast guys.
It's super fun to race with guys like Johnny Ratley and Brandon Proudfoot and all them guys and all these guys in this league. I mean, I got mad respect for all of them. The cleanliness is one of a kind. And I think that's what makes it so much fun. As far as the grip goes, I mean, it was pretty dominant one-liner, but you could make that bottom work, but you couldn't do it at least for me, I couldn't do it all the way around to keep enough momentum to be fast enough to do it.
Yeah, it looked like it was a lot of fun down there on the track. It was super fun to watch here up in the booth with DJ. Is there anyone you want to thank for your great run tonight?
I'd just like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. Really appreciate it. You guys do an awesome job as always. I'd like to thank Luell and the whole BRL League for putting this on for us every Friday night to come out and have a good, relaxing, fun time. I got to thank all my Dirt Panda Racing teammates, Wild Bills Race Designs, Blue Sky Builders, and Malum Electric.
Well, thank you much for your time, William. Once again, congratulations on the great run. I believe DJ has caught up with Johnny Ratley.
I have indeed. And Johnny Ratley, third place here, keeping your championship hopes alive. It looked like an absolutely insane battle there, especially at the start, going 3 wide with William and Brandon.
Oh yeah, this track is kind of tricky. I haven't raced this thing about 5 times in the last 2 years, so I have no idea how to get around this place.
Well, I mean, running it out there, it looked like you had a little bit of opportunity to run high, a little bit of opportunity to run low. How much of tonight was just being able to read that track and where the good grip was?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I said, man, I just have not ran this track hardly any, so I didn't really know where to run. I got into the wall once. I think when I was out in front, I got into the wall up there in 1 and 2, and it kind of messed my steering up a little bit. And Brandon and William kind of got ganged up on me right there, and I was trying to go low to get out of William's way and let him go by me because I couldn't really steer it good, and he kind of followed me, and Brandon went around both of us.
Brandon has a tendency to do that. I'm sure it's the thing. But all right, we look ahead. We're coming into the next race, Cedar Lake, newer track here on iRacing, a little bit different than Kokomo. How do you think it's going to go?
Oh yeah, I love Cedar Lake. I'm pretty good at that track. I've got a lot of laps around there. I'm pretty fast, so I feel confident about going into Cedar Lake.
Well, all right. We'll look out for that confidence, Johnny. Anybody you want to thank for this podium today?
Yeah, I just want to say congrats to Brandon for the win and William for second. I want to thank my team, Dirt Panda guys over there. I want to thank Lowell for the league. I want to thank Virtual Grip Network for putting us out there, man. Y'all do a great job. Also on my team, I want to thank Viv's Liquor, Wild Bill's Designs, and Blue Sky Builders.
Well, I know from all of us here on VGN, we are more than happy to cover you. That was Johnny Ratley, your third place finisher here today. And, well, folks, that's about going to wrap things up for us here on the Virtual Grip Network. But before we go, we'd like to once again thank our sponsor for tonight's event, Gargamel's Kitchen. Visit their office at 2045 South Valencia Street in Denver, Colorado, or go ahead and give them a call at 720-707-6178. On behalf of Austin Belkey and the rest of VGN, we'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight at the virtual Kokomo Speedway. Next race for this series, you heard me mention it a few minutes ago. It's going to be at Cedar Lake, Friday, October 29th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And the next race on the Virtual Grip Network, well, that's going to be the BRL Grand National Series from Five Flags tomorrow night, October 16th at 8:55 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back next week at Cedar Lake, but this has been a production of the Skidder Creek Motorsports Group and the Virtual Grip Network. And until we see you on track, thanks for watching.